Welcome to the NC Spin After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask you, what do you wish you had said on last week's show, but you didn't? Chris Fitzsimon, I'll start with you.
Well, we talked a little bit about what the legacy of Governor McCrory was, and I think Peg expanded a little bit on what Peg said about when the governor, it's a lot different being the mayor of a large city and then coming to state government. I thought one of the, not mistakes, but one of the things I bet he wished he had done earlier was get a couple more insiders on his team initially. And I was struck by one incident that happened. I'll relate it quickly. On the first day of his administration, when the legislature was in town, there was a bill to deny Medicaid expansion in North Carolina. Now, whether you think it's a good idea or not, the Senate ran that bill, and McCrory's legislative lobbyist, Fred Steen, sent a letter to every senator saying, can you just wait and let's talk about this before you vote on it? We may agree with you, but we'd like to be in the conversation. They threw it in the trash and voted that same night. We're not even going to pay attention to the governor. We're going to pass this bill in the Senate. I thought that sort of set the tone for the governor's administration. I bet he wishes he had gotten to know some moderate Republican senators at the beginning and laid the groundwork before he got there, and maybe he would have had a little easier ride with the legislature.
Good point. What do you wish you'd have said on last week's show, Gene Arnold?
Well, I want to go a couple of shows ahead of that also. When you had a great education panel and discussion, my fear, Tom, is that in maybe the next 10 years, as charter schools grow, and incidentally, they were supposed to be monitored to let us have in the public school system what the good things they were doing. It's never been
innovations.
Monitored. Yes, it's never been monitored or anything presented in 20 years. But as you have these charter schools that grow, what you're doing is pulling the good, smart kids for the most part, and you're leaving the low socioeconomic in the public school system. Those kids have to be educated too. And I'm afraid that it's going to degenerate the public schools, and it's not fair.
That was a point that we tried to make on that show, I think, if I remember correctly. Peg O'Connell, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
You know, Tom, I actually had something I was going to say that was completely a non sequitur to what we talked about earlier. But, you know, I think when we were talking about the people who run for office, and you know that I was married to Jim Long, who was a great public servant. I'm married to Jack Lewis, who was elected to the Court of Appeals. I worry that we are beating our candidates and the people who seek public office to death with vicious attacks from each other, from candidate to candidate, from these interest groups, that one of these days we are going to hold elections and nobody is going to show up. And what will we do about our democracy?
It is true. Most people wouldn't want to go through all that.
Why would anybody want to put that? I mean,
raising
it's like
all
your
that much money.
Head in a meat grinder and then saying thank you for the privilege. I mean, we are fortunate that we have
for a job that doesn't pay very well to start off with.
We're lucky we have the caliber of people we do. But if we don't stop this, we won't.
John Hood, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Tom, we referred, of course, to the governor's race being close, but I don't think we adequately conveyed just how close most of the elections in North Carolina were. The Senate race didn't turn out to be as close as we expected. The presidential race, maybe not quite as close. But think about it. The governor's race, the state auditor's race, the attorney general's race, state superintendent, just a variety of different races were extremely tight. North Carolina is a competitive...
And we still don't know the winner of the state auditor's race.
Not technically, no, we do not. So North Carolina is a very competitive state. Republicans have been doing very well. They continue to do well. But Democrats are going to win some races too, particularly when they outperform in fundraising, which was really one of Roy. We didn't even mention the fact that Roy Cooper dramatically outspent McCrory, who was the incumbent. That is both atypical and probably the single most important part, which we didn't mention, which is the point. But all of these races tell us that if you think, whether you're Democrat or Republican, the state is naturally with you, and you finally reach the point where you're the majority party, you're mistaken. We do not have a majority party. We have a very competitive state where if you make mistakes, you can lose your election. Don't get cocky.
Wow. Well, thanks for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.